is here. Night one. It's your boy Icon, and we're going over WrestleMania. Usually, I do my reviews right after the pay-per-view, and I have them uploaded immediately. But last night, I went to a WrestleMania party, with a couple of friends. We sat and watched it together. I was tired. My voice was like done, so I wouldn't even have been able to do it even if I wanted to. So now we're coming up here. So it's a little late. I apologize. And it's crazy because when I think about this, like, doing a 2-night WrestleMania review, a year ago at this time during WrestleMania, like if you go on my channel and watch my WrestleMania reviews for last year, I actually had just recovered from COVID when I did those reviews. So for now on, every time like WrestleMania comes around, I'm probably always gonna think about that. Like because I got sick with COVID when COVID was first fresh, and I was sick for about 24 days. And when on the 25th, 26th day, I believe that's when WrestleMania came out, and then I actually found the strength to do to still do the review and cover the show. So that's it's very cool for me. So going into the show, we're in Tampa, Florida. The fans are there, the crowd is there, and I gotta be, this is probably unpopular opinion, but maybe it's because of the size, because they couldn't have like the 80,000 plus that they normally have. They had to have limited capacity. So but fans were there. There were fans in the audience. It was a limited capacity of fans. But I gotta be honest with you, the fact that it was a limited amount of fans, it kind of made me miss the Thunderdome, because when you look out into the crowd and it was like dark out into the crowd, and then you saw like a couple of people, there was like dark shadows cast. I was just like, I kind of missed the colors, like I missed the bright colors, of the Thunderdome, whatever. I missed that piped in crowd noise, but it was just weird. Like, it's just gonna take some getting used to seeing people again. But it was nice to actually still have people. We saw like they did the whole thing where Vince came out and was like, "Welcome to WrestleMania," and then all the superstars were on the stage, which I thought was weird, because when certain people, because it's like you had Vince McMahon, you had Stephanie, you had Roman Reigns, you had Shane, and then you had Bianca and Sasha on either end of Vince, and I'm just like, y'all fighting later. I don't even know why y'all even on the stage, but like I said, overall, it was very cool to see. We even had some rain delays, because we're in Florida, they're in Florida, it thunderstormed, and like my boy Justin said, they went from the Thunderdome to the thunderstorms, and because of the thunderstorms, the show actually got delayed. And I didn't, and the thing is, when the show got delayed, it was cool how they filled in the time, because it wasn't just Michael Cole, just talking about a bunch of things that nobody wanted to hear. They interviewed the superstars. And when you go back and look at like the old WrestleManias, like WrestleMania 6, WrestleMania 7, WrestleMania 8, I miss the backstage interviews, with the superstars before they come out and have their matches, where they used to have the graphic behind the superstar and the superstar would do the. I actually really miss that. So to see them interview everybody prior to the show starting, it felt like a pre-show, but it also felt important, and it felt like a big deal. It felt like this was like a big fight night, and this is only night one. So let's kick right into it, and talk about the first match, which was the match that I was waiting for: the almighty Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. So for this match, Drew McIntyre came out first. He did his usual thing with the sword and the floor and the pyro. We got pyro, like outside pyro. I miss having an outdoor arena, because one thing I will say about the Thunderdome, that it's basically been nothing but like indoor arenas. It's been like, roofs. I actually miss having an outside venue. So that was cool to see with the pyro and the fireworks. Bobby Lashley came out looking like a straight up beast. MVP by his side. Unfortunately, no hurt business, but it was still, like I said, but it was still cool to see. The two of them had a good match. Like, I'm happy that this match did go first, because Sasha and Bianca should have closed the show, because Bianca was the Royal Rumble winner, and they kept saying the two Royal Rumble men's and women's winners will main event WrestleMania. So it was right that the women did go last. And I said, but to start the show, it felt like a big fight, big deal to have Lashley and Drew McIntyre start the show. It was, so as I said, so I definitely don't have a problem with that. I mean, a lot of people can say that, they put Lashley in the Brock spot, because Brock often opens, like the pay-per-views as well. A lot of good moves, a lot of hard hitting action, a lot of suplexes, a lot of showing off, a lot of kip ups, and I'm, like throughout the match, though, like I was waiting for that Lashley Rollins spear. Drew McIntyre did a cool thing where he did 3 future shock DDTs. Lashley hit him with a couple of one-arm spine busters, and the way these two are, because like I said, the show got held up due to rain and everything, but like if we're keeping it real, Lashley and Drew McIntyre are the type of people where they probably didn't give a damn about the rain. They was just like, when it started raining and they're just like, hey guys, we got to hold off on the match because it's raining. Both of them are probably like, so, because those seem like the type of dudes, they'd still go out there in the rain and still like beat the crap out of each other. So like I said, so that was dope to see. But in the end, I got, like I said, I was happy. I was very happy. And they owed him that too for breaking up the Hurt Business. Bobby Lashley, he put on the Hurt Lock, got the Hurt Lock locked in. Drew McIntyre tried to use the turnbuckle to kick back and do like the roll up, the roll up pin a la Bret Hart, Roddy Piper, but it didn't work because Lashley held on. He kept that tight grip, and then Drew McIntyre passed out. The referee asked him, was he okay? He didn't answer. They rung the bell, and the almighty Bobby Lashley retains the championship at WrestleMania, which solidifies his championship reign and his championship run, letting everybody know that he's legitimate. He's the man on Monday Night Raw, and for the love of God, I have no idea who's gonna fight this man now because he done tore through half the locker room. The only person I can think of now that they can put him in a program with is Keith Lee, but I don't want them to put him in a program with Keith Lee this early because then Keith Lee's not going to beat him. So, but we'll see. Maybe they'll do some call-ups because, like the night after WrestleMania, people usually get called up. So we'll see who gets called up. We'll see if there are any challengers. Maybe Damian Priest. Like, I'm cool with Damian Priest, challenging for the title, like I said, but we'll see. But like I said, super happy. Kudos to Drew McIntyre for being a great opponent. But at the end of the day, it's all about the almighty Bobby Lashley, still the WWE Heavyweight Champion. The second match that they did was the women's Gauntlet tag team match. Let's see who gets to fight Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, on night two of WrestleMania. And as soon as Naomi's music hit, and it's like it sucks because like I'm a Naomi fan, like I'm a huge Naomi fan, and I know that whenever they do things like this, whenever they do like multi-person matches, Naomi usually goes first because her entrance is the type of entrance to get the crowd going and get the crowd pumped. But in a Gauntlet match, when her and Lana came out first, I was like, yeah, they're not winning, and it was disappointing because they ended up losing to Billie Kay and Carmella. Billie Kay was funny because, she was trying to like imitate Carmella the whole time, and Carmella wasn't like annoyed with her. She was more just kind of like slightly amused by like her actions, and like she was like her little like sidekick or her little sister or something. I mean, I don't understand why Peyton Royce or Mia Yim couldn't be a part of the Gauntlet match, and the fact that Peyton Royce got left off the show, I thought was BS, to be honest. And then like what happened to Nikki Cross? Nikki Cross wasn't there either. Bayley didn't wrestle tonight. I'm like, if anything, Peyton Royce could have teamed up with Bayley. She could have teamed up with with Mia Yim. That would have been nice to see, but we didn't get that, so it is what it is. So Naomi and Lana got eliminated, and then the Riot Squad came out, they ended up, they got a couple of pins, like the strong, sexy blondes, like they came out, they took the L, and then in the end it came to Tamina and Natalya. So the two of them were in. And the funny thing is, like, Tamina and Natalya were the last team to come out. And by the time Tamina and Natalya came out, everybody else was already beat the hell up. Because when you go through a Gauntlet match, that's what happens. So they really didn't put in any effort. They ended up getting the pin on the Riot Squad. And Natalya and Tamina are going to go to night 2 to challenge for the women's tag team titles. And I'm not very happy about that. And it's not because of the participants involved, because I mean, I'm not the hugest Natty fan. I mean, I like Tamina, I like Nia Jax, I like Shayna Baszler, but it's like it's a heel versus heel match, so it's like there's nobody to root for. It would have made more sense if either Lana or Naomi, or if the Riot Squad would have won the match, because at least then we can have somebody to root for, against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. But like I said, it is what it is. I mean, I'm still gonna watch the match, but my my intensity level isn't, isn't really there. But kudos to, it's nice to see Tamina get some W's at WrestleMania, so that there's a positive. The fact that Tamina got a dub at WrestleMania is cool, and who knows, maybe tomorrow they'll actually win the tag team championships, and then Tamina can get some gold around her waist. But we'll see what happens at the next one. Third match was Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. And Cesaro came out like gangbusters. Like, his intensity was up, his energy was up. Like, you can tell. It was almost like Before Cesaro came out of the curtain, Vince whispered into his ear and said, "Hey, if you don't win this match, you're fired." Because Cesaro was a beast during this whole thing. He did a cool spot. He did the Cesaro swing where he swung him around, but he did a cool thing where he had Rollins on top of his shoulders and he spun him around like airplane style, and that was pretty cool. He even put his arms down and did like the no hands and had him on the shoulders. So Cesaro's cool people. But in the end, he got the European uppercut, the very European uppercut. He hit his finisher on him. He got the win on Seth Rollins. So Cesaro picked up his first, just like Kofi Kingston at Kofi Mania. That was Kofi Kingston's first one-on-one match at WrestleMania. He won the WWE Championship. Cesaro's first one-on-one match at WrestleMania. He beat Seth Rollins. So kudos to him. And I feel like Cesaro cemented himself as a main event player now. And if Vince doesn't see that at this point, there's something wrong. So, like I said, but kudos to Cesaro. And to be honest, if Roman Reigns doesn't retain the Universal Champion, if Roman Reigns does retain the Universal Championship, I would like his next opponent to be Cesaro, because Cesaro and Roman Reigns will put on a hell of a match, especially how Cesaro's doing now, because I haven't seen Cesaro this fired up since he fought Dragunov at NXT UK. So like I said, kudos to Cesaro. We're moving on to the next one. Braun Strowman versus Shane O'Mac. Here comes the money. Here comes the money. So, and the thing is, because of the COVID restrictions, we didn't get the usual Shane McMahon death-defying Evil Knievel stuff, but you knew he was going to give us something, and I kind of appreciated what he gave us, because the two of them had a steel cage match, and there was a moment during the steel cage match where Shane was trying to climb down the cage. Strowman actually just like ripped the cage. He literally just grabbed the cage and just like he ripped it off, off of the bone, and then he grabbed Shane by the throat and yanked him back into the ring. Shane tried to use Elias and Jackson Riker to interfere and like cheat all over the place, but the Shane McMahon spot that we got, it was a moment where Shane McMahon and Braun, they were standing on top of the cage, like actually standing on top of the cage. And, Braun Strowman grabbed Shane by the neck, picked him up, and basically threw him off the top of the cage and went crashing into the ring. Braun Strowman picked up the pinfall victory. He got the pin over Shane O'Mac, and Braun Strowman did it. And he said, "This is for everybody who's ever been called stupid," which is all right, fine. You vanquished the evil Shane O'Mac. Shane got himself on WrestleMania. He had his Jordans on. He did his high spot. So like I said, it was cool. Like I can't really make any complaints about that. Like I said, it was a nice little match. Like I said, so let's move on to what comes up next. The New Day versus Amos, and Famous Amos, and AJ Styles. The Big E showed up when the New Day came out, because they're all in the same damn building. It's not like the rosters are split when they're at WrestleMania. So it's like, why not? So when Big E came out, because Big E's gonna have Wale perform his entrance music on night 2. Big E came out and he did the usual "Don't you dare be," and it was cool to see that again. It was actually dope to see Big E one more time with the microphone tell the fans, "Feel the power," and then the New Day came out and all three of them were together. And it's crazy because when the three of them came out and they were standing next to each other on stage, I was like, wow, all three of them have championships, and like it never really dawned on me. So to see the New Day back was was very cool, very dope to see. To see them hug Big E, interact with Big E. Woods and Kofi got in the ring, and then Almas, and then it's like, and I'm surprised like Big E wasn't at ringside, because Almas eliminated Big E at the Royal Rumble. But they had the tag match. Woods and Kofi basically tried to keep Almas from getting in the ring the whole time, but they was taunting him at the same time. They was calling him names and laughing at him, making fun of him, and you could tell he was getting pissed. Like almost was like his blood was like boiling on the inside. But then when he finally got the tag, like this man is like 7'12", like 310. He did look good, because I saw footage of him when he was in NXT. And you could tell like he had some weight on him. He had like a little gut or whatever. He was a little chubby, but when you see him now, like you could tell like he's been on it, because like he's brolic, like he's solid, but he's big as hell. So if Lashley ever turns face, him versus Almas might not be, might probably be a good match, but but because of his size, his strength, his overall presence, he knocked out Woods. Well, Styles knocked out Woods because he jumped off Almas's shoulders and hit a phenomenal forearm off of Almas's shoulders, and then Almas picked up Kofi and just slammed Kofi on the floor, great Khali style, knocked Kofi out, put his foot on Kofi's chest, got the pinfall, and AJ Styles and Omos are the new Raw Tag Team Champions. So apparently they don't want none. And for this to be Omos's like debut match, for him to debut, to have his very first match at WrestleMania and walk away with the tag team championships was very cool for him. And I hope for nothing but I can't wait. I honestly can't wait for him to separate himself from AJ Styles, and I'm looking forward to seeing his progression and to seeing what he can turn into, to see what they do with him going forward, because it's kind of like a new era in WWE now. Like we have a lot of we have multiracial champions now. It's not just the same people winning all the time, so other people are getting opportunities. New people are getting opportunities, and I'd like him to be one of those new people that gets one of those opportunities, because seeing him do what he did like when he was in the ring was pretty dope. But I said I'm looking forward to more of it, and we'll see what happens on Raw now that they're both the new tag team champions of the world. The Miz and or Morrison versus Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny had the entrance where he was on top of the truck, coming into the arena. Obviously, it was pre-taped. And, it's funny because with all this foolishness between, like, The Miz and Morrison and Bad Bunny, I actually forgot about Damian Priest, because when Damian Priest's music hit, I was like, oh, yeah, he is a part of this. And it's, it's fine because Damian Priest just got here. So for him to do a Bad Bunny program, it's a good way to introduce him to the public and to the wrestling world for everyone that doesn't watch NXT. But now that WrestleMania is over, I need Damian Priest to start doing the one-on-one thing and building on his credibility and building on his name. Like I said, I wouldn't mind if he challenged Lashley for the championship. Like I would like to see him challenge for the championship. And and as much as I hate to admit it, Bad Bunny actually did a good job. Like there's a short list of celebrities that when they get in the wrestling ring actually do good and know what they're doing. Stephen Amell, the Green Arrow at SummerSlam comes to mind, and he also wrestled, in AEW's All In pay-per-view. So he's one of the good ones. Lawrence Taylor obviously was one of the good ones, and Bad Bunny, surprisingly, he was one of the good ones. Obviously he got a little help because wrestling's a two-way street, it's a two-way dance, but kudos to him for taking this shit seriously, for actually being a wrestling fan and not being out there just being a celebrity trying to get a paycheck. Like you can tell, although you can tell his stuff was choreographed, you can tell he was taking that shit seriously. And he believed in what he was doing. So at the end of the day, I honestly don't have a problem with that. And of course, because he's a celebrity, he picked up the victory. Him and Damian Priest picked up the victory. And like I said, but that was cool. It was fun for what it is. I did enjoy it. But now that it's over, let's let Damian Priest do the damn thing and rock solo, because I want to see where this man's career can go moving forward. And finally, the main event. It is so dope to say that. The main event, two gorgeous, talented, athletic, pioneering black women main eventing night one of WrestleMania. Bianca Belair versus the Boss, Sasha Banks, the Boss versus the EST. And it was definitely a moment. Like, you felt that moment in the air, especially, like during the entrances when both of them came out. Sasha looked great, Bianca looked great. And when they got into the ring together and they were standing there, like, both of them was pumped up, ready to go. And then when the announcer, actually said their names and announced their names, Bianca started crying, which is funny because Sasha's usually the one that cries first. And, but on this one, Bianca was the one that actually started crying first. And then, Sasha, because Sasha was basically the heel in all this, Sasha, she had the mean mug on her face. She had the mean look on her face. But then when she saw Bianca crying, she started smiling, and she kind of broke character for a second, and then both of them just took a moment to just soak it up. The crowd was cheering for both of them, and they were just thinking about that moment. Sasha Banks, the only horsewoman representing, that was represented tonight. And for me, I actually picked Sasha to win the match because Sasha Banks she's never won a match at WrestleMania before, and because this was Bianca's first year, I figured that Bianca could recover from a loss at WrestleMania quicker than Sasha because it was only Bianca's first time. Whereas, like, Sasha's had like 5 or 6 WrestleManias and she's never won. So I was just like, I think that she could use the win more just to cement her legacy. But there are other ways you can cement your legacy, because during the course of the match, Sasha had the aggression going, and they did a very good job. Whoever put this match together did a very good job of showcasing and utilizing Bianca's strength versus Sasha's speed and her technique. Every time Sasha tried to do a certain move, the power game for Bianca came into play. Every time Sasha tried to, do a maneuver, she did the dive out of the ring, and she actually caught the dive clean, because usually that she hits her feet or her heels on the ropes. She caught the dive clean, and when she hit the dive on Bianca, Bianca rolled through and like picked her up. Bianca actually like picked her up from the floor, military pressed her over her head, had Sasha up in the air in the military press position, and then Bianca walked up the steps while she was still holding Sasha over her head, and then she threw her over the top rope and dumped her in the ring. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, but and I said, and then Sasha, the savvy veteran, she did a very good job of utilizing the hair, because she was using Bianca's hair, to choke her out with a bank statement or a Rings of Saturn. She used her hair to slow down her mobility. So Sasha came with a game plan, but Bianca came with a game plan too. There was even a moment where Bianca had Sasha up for a suplex, and then she was trying to, and then Sasha tried to kick her way out of the suplex. And before Sasha's feet touched the ground, Bianca was like, no, bitch. She picked her back up again. And they did that a couple of times. Like I said, just to showcase the strength and the power, because if you're going to put the belt on this girl, she needs to be looked at as a credible threat. And they did a very good job of making her look like a credible threat. Like she said, the strongest, the fastest, the quickest, the toughest. And I mean, now she's the best. And then in the end of the match, because this was the moment in the end of the match, Sasha had went for the bank statement. Bianca kicked out. Bianca went for the KOD. And when Bianca went for the KOD, Sasha grabbed Bianca's braid. And then when Bianca threw her for the KOD, Bianca Sasha landed on the floor. She got her feet on the floor, but she had her braid in hand. And then she pulled the braid, she was like tugging at her hair, pulling at her hair. Bianca's pulling, Sasha's pulling. Bianca ended up ripping her hair out of Sasha's hands. And then when Sasha ran up to go punch her in the face, Bianca took her hair, she whipped it on Sasha's stomach, and for the love of God, the crack that thing made. If you go back and watch, don't even look when Bianca cracks Sasha with that braid. Don't look at Sasha, don't look at Bianca. Look at the audience. Because that shit was so loud. There was 10 people in the audience that collectively grabbed their heart. One guy did a complete 360. Even on commentary, they were just I felt that in my lungs. That's how bad that was. And then then Bianca got Sasha up for the KOD. She hit the KOD, got the 1-2-3 victory. And Bianca Belair is your new SmackDown Women's Champion. And I'm just like, congratulations. I mean, I love both girls. I picked Sasha not because I like Sasha better than Bianca or vice versa. I just felt that Sasha needed the win more because she's never got a WrestleMania victory. But kudos to Sasha Banks for being that veteran, recognizing talent in another black female, and putting another black female, putting another person, putting another new person, a new wrestler over. Because too often the veterans, there's always the complaint about, oh, we can't make new stars. And part of the reason why we can't make new stars is because the current stars never want to put anybody over. So in this case, Sasha did right by the business, and she put, Bianca Belair over. I mean, Sasha Banks was the superstar of the year last year. She's the boss. She's a Grand Slam champion. Sasha's not gonna be hurt by this, and eventually she will get her WrestleMania victory. But the right thing to do was to give to the young lion, give the new girl the shot. Put the new girl on a pedestal. So now the SmackDown Women's division is going to be bananas going forward. And I hope they keep Becky Lynch away from that, because when Becky Lynch finally decides to come back, leave her on Raw with Charlotte, like everybody else. Let Sasha and Bianca do their thing on Friday Night SmackDown. So that was, and that was it. And then even at the end, the cameraman put a shot on Sasha Banks at the end, and Sasha had the biggest whelp, like a red line across her side going all the way around her back. Like, I know backstage, like when WrestleMania was over, Bianca and Sasha should have gone to dinner, and Bianca needs to pay for whatever Sasha wanted for dinner that night. Not only for doing the J.O.B., but for that damn whelp she put on her damn side. Like, sweet Mother McCree, that thing was crazy. So that was it, and the show, like, night one ended with, with the EST standing tall, with Bianca Belair standing tall. And I'm good with that. Just on paper, night one to me was always going to be better than night two anyway. I liked all the matches more, majority of the matches on night one better. I mean, the only match I'm really looking forward to for night two, honestly, is Apollo Crews versus Big E, but obviously I'm going to watch it as well. We're going to review it. So thank you for tuning in for night one of WrestleMania. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought about each individual match. Which match was your favorite? Which match did you hate? Which match did you love? How do you feel about Bianca Belair becoming the new champion? Sasha's legacy? Bobby Lashley, cementing the almighty era, Bad Bunny's performance, and we're going to talk about it all, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Check me out on social media as always. Leave a comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and or subscribe on Twitter and on Instagram as well. Let's have these conversations, keep it going. So I'll be back for night two of WrestleMania. So until night two, signing off for night one, guys. Take care, and I'm out this bitch.